Well, Adam Schefter not only confirmed yesterday that the Eagles have interest in Zach Ertz, but he also confirmed another surprise team possibly lobbying for the tight end services. Dallas Goedert practiced yesterday, but battling with the doctors for a chance to play. Fletcher Cox, however, did not practice yesterday, although I have a brand new update on his status for the game, and you've got to hear what this 49er reporter had to say for Sunday's rainy matchup in Philadelphia. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. It was pretty wild seeing Deshaun Jackson back at Eagles practice yesterday following his retirement press conference. It really is amazing how many of his former teammates are technically still on this team, and dare I say, I bet Jackson could still play in this league if it wasn't for his hamstrings probably giving out after just a couple of snaps. Now, the other surprising sight at practice yesterday was Dallas Goedert in a helmet, catching passes? Wait, so is this guy going to play? Well, the final injury report listed him as doubtful, which isn't a good sign, but Goedert told reporters yesterday that, quote, "In my mind, I'm ready to go, but I still have to talk to the doctors." Now, the Birds Blitz did make a good point on Twitter following up yesterday, saying being listed as doubtful typically means a player is out. These first 3 months, no player listed as doubtful has played that week, but multiple players listed as doubtful played in Week 12. Now, the same goes for Fletcher Cox, who did not practice again on Friday, but it's officially listed as questionable with that groin injury. A report suggests Cox is pushing hard to play. It'll be another game-time decision for the Eagles' number 91. Sadly, though, with a 77% chance of rain tomorrow at the Link, I think that might be a big deciding factor if you see Fletcher Cox out there or not. Now, when the rain comes, normally running the football does as well, and my lock of the week is DeAndre Swift over 12.5 carries. I couldn't believe when I saw this line at MyBookie, and I think this is an absolute home run bet tomorrow because they're going to run the ball a lot with Swift, and he kind of popped off last week against the Buffalo Bills. Now, if you haven't tried MyBookie, it's an amazing one-stop shop for all of your sports betting needs, and subscribers of my show can get an exclusive sign-up bonus using my link down below in the description box. Whether you hammer the over for DeAndre Swift's carries or just take the Birds, who are underdogs yet again this season, MyBookie has all of your sports betting needs. Now, speaking of locks, Zach Ertz officially cleared waivers yesterday, and Adam Schefter confirmed the Birds are going to be interested. Unfortunately, Schefter also named the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills as the other names to watch out for. Now, I really hadn't thought of Kansas City as being an option for Zach Ertz, but technically they are a contender, and Travis Kelce has been often injured this year and does not look the same. He's lost a step, and so maybe they want to go ahead and get a replacement tight end to pair with Big Red in that vaunted Mahomes offense. I'm more curious how long Ertz is going to take to go ahead and make this decision. I know he wants to play for a contender, but with only 5 weeks left in the NFL season, you'd think he'd want to sign as soon as possible. Maybe wait throughout the weekend and the Birds make a deal on Monday. Subscribe and I'll be sure to cover that. I still am all for this move, but I want to see it happen as soon as possible because I need 86 in midnight green catching touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys next Sunday night. Now, of course, the matchup at hand, though, is San Francisco, who arrived in Philadelphia yesterday, and I sat down with probably the most controversial 49ers reporter on YouTube, Grant Cohn, to not only discuss the matchup, but I think you'll be surprised by some of his takes on both Philadelphia and San Francisco. And welcome in Grant Cohn. Grant, I'm just going to say it right now. I think you're the foremost 49er reporter on YouTube, and it's a pleasure to have you back on my show, getting ready for, is this the biggest rivalry in the NFL right now, not inside a division?
It is absolutely the biggest rivalry in the NFL right now. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And I'm having just a terrific Saturday. What a wonderful Saturday I'm having. How is your Saturday going?
It's been great. It means we're one day away from this big, giant matchup. And I got to start by asking you, the whole trash talk, it's very interesting because it feels like it's a little bit more one-sided. Eagle fans are getting tired of Debo, backing down and doubling down on calling Bradbury trash. Fred Warner, though, said just the other day that he wishes the Niners hadn't trash talked after the NFC title game, and the Eagles just keep kind of sitting back and going, all right, let's see what happens later this week. What's your take on all this trash talk this week?
That's funny. I mean, we're so far apart on different sides of the country. I think on this side of the country, it's the opposite perception that Debo and Brandon Ayuk sort of said their piece after the game and were criticized heavily for it, as they should have been. That was quintessential sore loser behavior. But this week when asked about it, they essentially tried to shut it down. I know Debo, what did Debo say? I don't regret anything I say. That was the most he said that. But essentially, they didn't go further, and they were asked about it because Hassan Reddick said something after the last game that the Niners were doing a lot of boo-hooing, and which they did. But over here, it looks like the Eagles are doing the trash talking this time, and that's just the way I saw it. Maybe how do you not see it that way? I feel like Hassan coming from Hassan Reddick, the guy who snapped Purdy's arm, just feels like rubbing salt in the wound,
No,
but
it's a good. It is a good point, although it does feel like when Debo doubles down at a press conference or a locker room scrum and then goes on Kay Adams' show and says, no, I don't regret anything. It's his prerogative.
Right.
I think if he balls out this weekend, the Niners win, then more power to him. But if it's another NFC Championship game sort of scoring line, which I don't think it will be, but let's just say it is, it's going to be tough for Debo to go to the back of the podium and explain, his situation again. Him versus Bradbury is going to be a great matchup. I don't want to stay too long on the NFC title game because obviously it's a new year, and Sirianni said that just the other day in his press conference. Do you think genuinely, if Purdy stays healthy in that game, the Niners win the NFC Championship game?
No.
Okay.
But I mean, that's a weird hypothetical.
It is.
Because Josh Johnson came in the game and he got hurt too.
Right.
So if the Niners could have kept a quarterback upright, that was the reason they lost, because they couldn't keep any quarterback upright. Their offensive line got completely overwhelmed. Their game plan was completely wrong. It was full of slow developing play action passes against a great pass rush that wasn't honoring the run fakes because the Eagles were winning. So I don't think it was as simple as the Niners make it out. Like, if Purdy been healthy, we had the game plan, we had the team.
Right.
Like, no, you didn't. What was the pressure rate the Eagles had in that game? Like 60%? Nah, you're not winning like that.
It was high. It was definitely high. Yeah. Let's fast forward, though, to this year. What have you learned from Brock Purdy? Because beginning of the year, Niners look great. Everything's going fantastic. They blow out the Dallas Cowboys. Eagle fans rejoice. And then you have that really odd 3-game stretch where Purdy struggles from behind. And then this whole idea that, well, maybe people were injured and so he needs more help offensively. But then I'm watching Thanksgiving night just a couple of days ago, or really more than a couple of days ago, last week, and they dominated the Seattle Seahawks. That was like 2 different football teams, 2 different classes of players out there. And to me, I go, okay, this is a real test for both Philadelphia and San Francisco. What have we learned, or what have you learned from Purdy so far this year versus what you saw in 2022?
He's a totally different quarterback when he's winning as opposed to when he's losing, leading, trailing. He obviously doesn't have the most imposing physical skill set, right? Of course. But he throws with a ton of anticipation and he processes quickly. Ipso facto, he's a good quarterback. But that's much more effective when he's winning because defense is on their heels. You have to honor play fakes, all this.
Right.
When he's losing and it's just drop back and throw and do it with anticipation and beat defenses that are expecting the pass, all of a sudden he's not nearly as good. He has to take chances. He commits turnovers. He's not the playmaker that he seems to be when he's winning. So that's a big deal. Can the Niners play from ahead in this game? Because they don't seem to be able to they're not really built to play from behind. Like, it's not just Purdy with his anticipation throws. It's also the offensive line, which is not built to pass protect. And it's Kyle's system. And there's a stat that he's 0-39 or something when trailing by 8 points or more in the fourth quarter. Like, the Eagles just came back from 10 points down in the fourth quarter. This week. So I don't know. That's the kind of a Niner thing.
How do you view the Philadelphia Eagles this year? And I love asking this question because it's good to see, like you mentioned, you're on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. We're both, covering different teams and hearing different things. I think Eagle fans would tell you that it's a special team. They're 10-1. It's a Super Bowl caliber team. Everything's going great. While at the same time, kind of ignoring a couple of issues. I mean, they struggled mightily the first couple of drives, minus the 1 touchdown drive against Buffalo. They couldn't pass protect at all against Kansas City. And Dallas came down to the wire. And besides the fact that we're 10-1, and I still feel like we're a great football team, do Niner fans feel like this Eagles team is more gettable this year than maybe it was, a couple of months ago in the NFC Championship game?
I think so. I mean, you're looking at it just in terms of the rankings, yards, 9th in yards on offense, 19th on defense. Doesn't look like it's necessarily the most dominant team. They keep pulling out these incredible wins that they were losing or they were close, but that hasn't really been the Niners season. Now, the Niners, who have they beaten? Dallas and Jacksonville. Like, those are the most impressive wins on their slate. So, I think the way I look at the Eagles from afar is essentially the same team as last year, minus Hargrave, plus Jalen Carter, which might be an upgrade for you. And also, I think DeAndre Swift is a great addition. I don't think Miles Sanders was doing very much. No one was scared of him. But DeAndre Swift is good. So, in some ways, they have a better team, it looks like, on paper. But losing the 2 coordinators, I think, is an issue. Steichen is good, and Gannon too. And I feel like you have these really young, inexperienced coordinators now. Like, how good are they? It seems like it takes them a while to figure out what they're doing in a game, or maybe it's just Jalen Hurts' talent taking over in crunch time. But it seems like Brian Johnson and Sean Desai, like, they're finding their way. And this week they have to go up against Steve Wilks and Kyle Shanahan, who have 3 extra days to prepare. That's rough.
Yeah, the extra days are definitely going to be interesting. Philadelphia, I think, has extra days versus the Niners, or the Niners have extra days versus Philly. And then the week after, we take on the Dallas Cowboys, and they have the extra week as well because they played Thursday Night Football a couple of nights ago against Seattle. So that'll be interesting. When you talk about Steve Wilks and this Niner defense, I saw a lot of criticism for him early, right? They moved him from the box down to the field, thinking that that's going to make a big difference. I never understand how that actually does anything. Since then, though, has he kind of figured things out for this Niner defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was getting unfairly scapegoated. The offense was a big reason they lost 3 games in a row. They scored 17 points 3 games in a row and lost one game 19-17, lost one game 22-17. Like, this is Steve Wilks' fault. You know, they gave up 31 to the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was embarrassing because Joe Burrow couldn't miss, and he ran for a bunch, and Joe Mixon ran for a bunch. So that was kind of the one for Steve Wilks. But now it seems like they added Chase Young. They benched Isaiah Oliver. That was a big one. They had Jimmy Ward as their nickel last year. He left because he got in a feud with Kyle Shanahan and got more money with DeMeco Ryans in Houston. Steve Wilks brings in Isaiah Oliver. That was just a mistake. It takes him half a season to figure out to bench him, move De'Amon Lenore in the slot, and play Ambry Thomas outside. So far, that's been better. And the addition of Chase Young has made them a much better defense. That although they played Jacksonville, Tampa, and Seattle the last few weeks. It's not not exactly the Eagles.
For Eagle fans who haven't watched much of the Niners since the acquisition of Chase Young, you just mentioned it there, but you do see that Young has made a significant impact on that pass rush because Bosa was a little quiet to start the beginning of the year. Since adding Chase Young, would you say that pass rush has gone from being really good to being really great now?
Yeah, I get the feeling that the Niners pace themselves. They've been together a long time. They've played a lot of football games, a lot of playoff games. They're the 4th oldest team in the league. I think they kind of pace themselves and kick it into gear after the bye week. I mean, they've done that 3 years in a row. But now they're in that mode, and Chase Young is here, and it's just hard to overstate how much of an upgrade he is over Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Cleveland Farrell, but I mean, it's a big difference. So now instead of having 3 pass rushers, they have 4. Although Eric Armstead didn't practice Wednesday. Didn't practice Wednesday. And we'll see if he plays in this game. He's got a foot injury.
In terms of the NFC, it feels like it's a 4-horse race, although Detroit, to me, has really kind of shown that they're just not ready for the big game. They're going to host a playoff game because they'll win their division, and they'll probably have a good chance to win that game, but I don't think any of us are going to take Detroit to win 3 straight games, including the NFC Championship game on the road against the Niners or the Eagles. Do you think Dallas has kind of turned a leaf? Do you see it as Philly 1, Cowboys? Okay, so you go Philly 1, Niners, and then Dallas? Where are you at on the NFC rankings?
I don't take Dallas seriously. Every time, and again, it's because I watched them play the Niners, but every time they play the Niners, they get worse. They're not figuring anything out. They're just getting beaten by more. They got blown out by 32 last time they played the Niners. It's like they know they're going to lose. They don't have any confidence. They're not built to beat the 49ers. Yeah, I mean, what's the best team they've beaten this year? Have they beaten a winning team yet? Dallas.
Yeah, basically
I don't think so. Yeah. So the NFC to me is 2 good teams and a few other teams that might get lucky in the playoffs if the Niners and Eagles have a bad day. That's basically Detroit could get lucky, I guess, against Philly or the Niners, but really, they just lost to Green Bay. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not going to get it done against Philly.
So then, do you see this game on Sunday being kind of a must-win for? I mean, in my mind, how I'm phrasing this question is the 1 seed is so crucial, right? Because you get to play either, for sure in the divisional round, the lowest ranking team. And so you're hosting, maybe it's Seattle or maybe it's the Vikings or maybe
Minnesota.
It's the Detroit, right? It's a bad football team. So you have an easy first round matchup after a bye week, and then you get to host the NFC title game, and you're 1 win away at home from going to a Super Bowl. If San Francisco loses on Sunday, they have 5 losses, or 4 losses now. 4 losses now. Philadelphia will have 1, and they basically have 1 good team left in Dallas because they play the Giants twice and the Cardinals. If you don't win this week and you don't get the 1 seed, how much more difficult is that playoff path for the Niners than if they were to win this week and still have a chance to be the number 1 overall seed in the NFC?
I mean, you laid it out. Having that number 1 seed is huge. And what's funny is I think the Niners felt one thing they could do differently this year, beyond just keep Brock Purdy healthy, was have the NFC Championship game at Levi's. have a fast start, get the number 1 seed. Don't just let Philly get it. And they did get the fast start. They were 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
And they just inexplicably, it's like what I think happened is they beat Dallas on national television. They didn't just beat Dallas, they embarrassed Dallas. And they just went on like a month-long mental vacation. Like they've proven themselves. They just totally let down. Lost to PJ Walker, lost to the Vikings, and the Bengals. And then they finally took a bye week and they're like, okay, everyone's writing us off. We're a really good team. Let's prove it. But they gave it away. And I don't think the Eagles are going to give it back. And now if the Niners are going to win the Super Bowl, they're going to have to win this. For this game, they're going to have to go and win this game in freaking January.
Yeah.
See how that goes. This game is cool, though. This one that's coming up on Sunday.
Right. In terms of Jalen Hurts, I heard you mention earlier that, the offense gets a little bit of a slow start. Maybe it's the offensive coordinator. Then Hurts' talent takes over. He's now the odds-on favorite to win MVP. And while he's had some really bad quarters, I mean, as an Eagle fan, I'll even mention it. Like, his first couple of quarters against the Kansas City Chiefs was maybe the worst football I've ever seen Jalen Hurts play. And then we just immediately, warp it out of our minds and go, oh, well, he won. And then, oh, well, he won the next week. Do you view Jalen Hurts as the MVP of this league? And if not, who would you vote for right now?
Yeah, I mean, who else would it be? It would be, I guess, him or Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Maybe Lamar. Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to go, that's the thing. I think McCaffrey has a legit claim to it. He's got 11 rushing touchdowns. I mean, so does Jalen Hurts. They're kind of similar for what they do for their teams in terms of the scoring impact. But no, I think it probably should be Jalen Hurts. And I think what's funny about this season is it's kind of a boring season for the NFL. It's kind of a down season. I think the number one topic, play, whatever, is this tush push thing. Everyone wants to talk about it. It is every year there's a play that takes over the league and is like that play was a jet sweep in the past. Now it's the quarterback sneak. And I think it really pisses off the Niners. Like on Wednesday, going through the locker room and every casual TV reporter that just wants to ask a question just goes straight to it. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Javon Hargrave, what do you know? How are you going to stop it? And their answer was hilarious. They were like, I don't know. We haven't thought about it. I don't know. I guess we have to talk about it. I don't know. We're going to get to that. Shut up. I don't want to talk about that quarterback sneak. I think it's pretty funny. I mean, I guess it's just a quarterback sneak and it's just 1 yard and it's kind of dressed up funny. It's a cool formation, but does seem to be very important to what the Eagles do.
It really has been. It's just incredible to have a play that no one else can seem to run and no one else can seem to stop. And maybe Hargrave has, some inside information or maybe he can help out, but it's going to be very interesting to see what the Niners can do. He didn't? Okay, well then,
He said he didn't. Or someone asked him, do you have any insight you can give to your teammates? He was like, not really. No. He was like, not really, nah.
How do you see this game playing out in general? As we go ahead and wrap up here, I don't know if I want a score prediction, but are we talking high scoring? Are we talking low scoring? Is it a slow start and then it speeds up to a shootout? Give me your exact layout for how you see Sunday afternoon going.
Well, do you know what the rain situation is going to be? I know it's
supposed to, but it's been kind of weird the past couple of days. I really don't know. I think it's going to be not ideal weather.
Okay, well, the more rain, the better the better the odds for the Eagles, in my opinion. I think that's something that they've shown they can win in. They did it last week. The Niners really haven't faced anything like that. They don't practice with wet footballs. It's not something they really prepare for. But really, they do have the advantage of the extra rest, the extra 3 days of preparation. That's big. But who's going to block Hassan Reddick? Mm-hmm. They never had an answer for that last year, and it ruined the game. They're not going to be able to use their play action that they like to use. They got to put Brock Purdy in the shotgun and get the ball out of his hands. I think the offense is going to have a tough time. I think McCaffrey's going to have a good game. I think Purdy is going to have a tough time. And I think this defense, although it's played well the last few weeks, they haven't faced a run game like this. And I know the Eagles are more than a run game. But the last 3 weeks the Niners have faced Travis Etienne, Rachaad White, and Zach Charbonnet. Cool. Now you got Jalen Hurts and DeAndre Swift. And it was just a month ago that you got gouged by Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow. So this is a whole different thing. Can you stop the run? And then can you beat a good quarterback? Who's the best quarterback the Niners have beaten this year? Trevor Lawrence, who frankly isn't that great.
Right.
They've beaten Dak, who is like poops his pants every time. I'm sorry, but he poops his pants every time he plays the 49ers. It's a little stains. Now you got a quarterback who isn't just going to like try to dink and dunk, get the ball out of his hands really quick like Geno. A guy who has the best offensive line, is going to hold the ball a long time, and he has 2 elite wide receivers who you have to cover for 3 or 4 seconds without grabbing. That's not something the Niners have had to do recently, and I'm curious to see if they can do it.
There you go. I think it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see how it goes. And listen, I appreciate you jumping on here to break it down for us on a Saturday. Best of luck tomorrow. I'll say that with, of course, hope the Eagles win. I'll say this. Let's hope Purdy stays healthy. I want him to have both teams at 100% strength for all 4 quarters, and we'll see who the best team in the NFC is after Sunday.
Hold on, Thomas. You got me all wrong. I don't root for the 49ers. I'm picking the Eagles to win this game.
Okay.
I root for myself.
Hey.
So if the Niners win, great. If they lose, great. It all works for me. I just wanted to say that.
There you go. That's why you're the best, man. I appreciate you coming on. If, of course, you're a Niner fan watching this, be sure to subscribe to Grant, and we'll talk to you maybe during the playoffs.
Let's do it.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Talk to you later. We've got plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks, including back to our live stream. We missed the last one, both being on vacation, myself and Josh Davis. We're back tomorrow for Niners and Eagles. Be sure to turn on your notification bell and just come hang out for what is the best Eagles watch party on YouTube. I cannot stress that enough. And of course, if anyone signs Monday, Tuesday, this is the place to have it first. This is the place to be. Cannot wait for the game tomorrow. Go Birds! Give me your score predictions down below. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show.